Houston, my co-chair, and I will be running the meeting tonight. So we're going to call to order and do introductions. I will go around and introduce the committee, but we do have 2 guests tonight, so I'll let them introduce themselves. So again, I'm Michelle McGee, the co-chair of the Tricentennial Committee. Dave, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Dave Clifton, and certainly I know all of you. I'll move on to you, Dale.
Dale Carrister, a member of the committee and also undertaking some responsibilities as community liaison coordinator. That's about right.
That's lovely, thank you. Courtney Pumpkin, fundraiser extraordinaire.
Yay! And we'll skip right over this is Jeanette.
Jeanette Kamara, I'm the treasurer.
And then we have 2 guests this evening that I would like to introduce. So first we have Amanda Hurley.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us a little about you, Amanda?
Sure. I was an event coordinator at the Easton Country Club for more than 10 years and worked with Anne-Marie. We worked very well together and we love planning events. And we're very excited to help with pretty much anything we can help with.
Yes. Thank you. And Anne-Marie Taylor.
I'm Anne-Marie, better known as Tanner, now Taylor. So my ex-husband grew up here in Easton. My kids went to Easton schools. Love it here. I've done a lot of committees when the kids were younger, schools and all that. But over a decade, 12 years I think, at the country club, doing every event possible, and before that at other venues, doing events as well. So I'm going to ask one to volunteer, and here we are.
Excellent. We're so glad you joined us tonight. We had a very lovely meeting with the double A's and last night, and it went really well. And I see Ken Michael is joining us now, member of the committee. I know he got sworn in, not sure. We would like, before we begin, to thank ECAP for coming out and taping the session, and we would also like to thank Bank of Easton for hosting us tonight. This is Ken Michael joining us now.
Thought I was 15 minutes early, and now I'm 15 minutes late.
Were you able to swear in, Mr. Michael?
No,
Okay.
because I have been away until Monday night.
Okay. So we are going to make a motion to approve the minutes from June 27th. They were right here a moment ago. Oh, no, I put them under here. Did everyone have a chance to see them, or does anyone need to take a look at them?
Can I just take a quick one?
Absolutely. So we'll hold off on a motion to approve those until everybody takes a look. We already introduced our guests. I did put a copy of the agenda
Taylor
here.
I
We're
know.
going to move to
Okay,
co-chair
Mike.
reports. We'll go back to minutes in a moment. And we are going to start with Dave's co-chair report. Dave.
Yes, some good news. We have a couple of people that are interested in the secretarial position, which right now is vacant. Diane Usadi is from 5 Lamplighter Lane. She is interested and is going to fill out a form to be part of the committee. And even if she's not, she is interested in serving as the secretary. She does work at Town Hall, does work for the elections, and happens to be a neighbor of mine. I got her involved. She's going to be moving out. Only kidding. The fact is that she's willing to do that, and she hopes there'll be a little training that goes with it. Assistant secretary, because we felt there was a need there, Rosalind Miller. She's a friend of Diane's, also works at the polls, and is willing to pick up if any chance that Diane can't follow through with some of her responsibilities. They will both be here at the next meeting. They're on vacation, so they'll be joining us on the 25th. But I thought that we could give them some sort of an endorsement, unless there's someone else that's interested in the slot. Has anybody had any request for wanting to volunteer to be secretary?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm going to ask the person that's chairing our meeting tonight to maybe call for support for these 2 women who are willing to join our committee, take the minutes, do the posting, and they're willing to do it even if they're not on the full board appointed by the select board. We'll have to wait till the select board makes that decision.
Is that allowed that the secretary doesn't have?
My understanding, it is allowed, And it's like coordinators for different events. They're not, they're part of the committee, but not so much appointed by the board.
And not
to
voting
vote.
members.
Yeah. So, Michelle, could you call for a vote of support for Diane Lusardi and Rosalind Miller?
And I'm sorry, how do you spell her is it L-U?
Lusardi.
Oh, good. I think that's another generational family. I think they have several.
Oh, good.
They do.
They go back, yes,
And
all
I got a
right.
chance to get to know Diane a little bit through some of our work on the sewer project.
Oh, great.
So I think
Awesome.
she'd be a great addition.
Thanks, Dale.
He's a hard worker.
I think you have your support.
Okay, good enough. The next item that I want to talk about is our meeting schedule. We're forever grateful, Jeanette, to you and the Bank of Easton for opening up your doors a couple of times. And we have a couple of others that we'd like to suggest. Tuesday, July 25th is our next meeting. It is scheduled here at the Bank of Easton, and it's a 6 p.m. meeting.
Thank you.
Wednesday, August 8th is not our regular scheduled meeting, but Michelle and I thought that we needed that extra meeting in August as well, and then go back to our regular schedule in September. All three meetings, 2 in August and the next one in July, would be here at the Bank of Easton, beginning at 6 p.m. We also have had contact with our other meeting place, and they have agreed to let us start at 6 o'clock when we do our regular monthly meetings, the fourth Wednesday of the month. So is everybody in agreement with that?
So we need somebody to make a motion.
I'll make the motion to move the meeting to start at 6 p.m.
Excellent.
Second.
And adding a second meeting on, what did you say, 8/8?
Yes.
Right.
So
August
moved.
8th and August 22nd.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
I got a question pertaining to the meetings. With respect to those who have not been able to attend, would they be more likely to participate if we had some remote participation through Zoom? I know some other town committees are still doing that. So I like the in-person meetings myself, but I'm just wondering to broaden the net a little bit. Do you know whether those folks would be more likely to be able to participate?
We can ask them.
Okay.
I will definitely reach out. Currently as acting secretary, I'm happy to do that.
And of course, by having a secretary and assistant secretary, it takes some pressure off of Michelle. She has enough responsibility in terms of what she's doing. The next item that I wanted to talk about, I had a meeting with the DPW director. Actually, it was a phone meeting, and he mentioned the fact that he would take a look at some of the banners at Stonehill College. You know, we're talking about promoting, and I know that Mike Good is not here right now, our marketing person, but I'll chat with him. He's going to be a little late tonight. But our hope is to put some banners up. There are 22 street pole lights in the center of town on Main Street. And we noticed that they had small banners at Stonehill College, the same street light. And he was not, our DPW director was not in favor of putting up the heavy banners that we were talking about, but we'll be able to cut these in half, be able to put Town of Easton on it with our logo when it's finished, and the dates of our 300th anniversary, as well as putting the sponsor on the bottom of the banner. It would give us an opportunity to give them some credit. We're not ready yet for banners, but it was nice that the DPW director actually went over to Stonehill to take a look at it, and we'll get back to you on that. The next item I wanted to talk about is hoping that we could confirm the events. I'm talking about the signature events. I know we've been tossing this back and forth. Michelle found a parade coordinator, and she's gonna go through a formula on the board that I'd like to have you take a close look at. For example, we voted at the last meeting to have the parade on Flag Day, which is June 14th. And we also noticed afterwards that the Memorial Day parade in the town of Easton is 14 days before. We saw a conflict because it happens to be the same guy who agreed to be our coordinator, who also coordinates the Memorial Day parade. So he's recommending a change, and that's going to be part of the formula that Michelle's going to go over. I'd like to have you take another close look at it, and then we want to move on to other things on our agenda. Please speak up if you have suggestions or comments. I think the first thing we have to do is to come up with what the signature events are going to be. We hope that at some point in time we'll have a formula, and then we hope that we'll have a logo. We also hope that we'll be able to finalize a scale, look at it again tonight, so that we can start fundraising and approaching people for donations. You had a question, Bill, to the chair.
Right, I was of the understanding we had already taken some votes on the signature events.
We did,
Right?
yes.
So, are you able to summarize what the votes were that have already been taken?
Absolutely, yes. What's already been taken is we have voted to have a town picnic, a gala ball, a bonfire, first day event, and fireworks. We have voted on a date for, and parade, I didn't say parade. We have voted on a date for the town picnic, the gala ball, the bonfire within a weekend. We didn't pick a date, but it was Indigenous Peoples Weekend. The first day event, the parade, but not the fireworks.
And did we already have any discussion where we were focusing on the parade for July 4th now, or maybe that was something that we did not yet discuss?
We haven't yet discussed it, right?
So what decision do we need to make today then, for purposes of the signature events, without reopening the whole get the booth? I know you have a lot of other issues to get into.
So that's part of tonight's talk, or discussion. And we can kind of segue over to that if you want to do that, Dave, a little out of order, or if you want to finish.
What I wanted to do is, at the last meeting before we ended, there was a request that we check with the fire chief. We had a conference call, a Zoom meeting with him tonight before this meeting started, and we have some good news to share with you in terms of the fire chief. How do you want me to do it?
Sure.
The fire chief is very cooperative. He has no problem with the fireworks. He has no problem with the bonfire. He did list certain months that he would prefer that we not light up the sky with a bonfire.
Yes.
We even talked about a possible site. We said, Chief, if you were to recommend a place, what would you suggest? He come up with some recommendations. He volunteered his fire department to help with the bonfire. He volunteered the fire department to help with the fireworks once we decide who's going to shoot them. He volunteered to put stickers on all of the fire apparatus. He volunteered to give his officers new badges that promoted the 300th anniversary. He is very much in favor of both events. He's going to walk a couple of properties with Michelle and I to take a look at the sites to see if there's any safety concerns that we might address. So I think he's on board with the dates that we came up with. And now would be the time, I think, to go through the formula.
All right, so we're going to take out of order the signature events proposal and vote under my my co-chair report. So, this is, we are proposing 8 signature events. They are a first day event, an arts weekend, a parade, a bonfire, a gala ball, a town picnic, and a block party. 8 events. So that's 8 opportunities for people to sponsor a signature event. 4 of those events will be combined. So it's 6 dates throughout 2025. The things that would be combined would be the town picnic followed by the fireworks. So 2 signature events in one day. And the parade followed by something that has not been proposed yet, a block party. So this shows what we have voted to have. We have voted to have a first day. We have voted to have a parade, a bonfire, a gala ball, and a town picnic. We have not voted to have an arts weekend or a block party. Those would be additional things that we're proposing tonight. This is the date that we voted on having these events. We have voted on having a first day event on the 4th. We voted to have a parade on Flag Day. We voted to have a bonfire on Indigenous Peoples Weekend. We voted to have a gala ball on the 27th of December. We did not vote on a date for the town picnic, and we did not vote on a date for fireworks. What we are proposing is events on January 1st, Patriots Day weekend, Flag Day, June 14th, the 4th of July, Indigenous Peoples Weekend in October, and December 27th. Which would mean that we're proposing a change to the vote, which would be changing the first day event to the first day of the year. The reason for that was because we were considering having fireworks at that time, and we didn't want the kids to have to go right back to school the next day. But since we're not proposing fireworks for that date, we're proposing to change the date of the first day to the first day. The April suggestion was when we were reading over our charge and mission statement that we were charged with by the select board, there's one whole bullet point on arts, music, and culture. And we felt that we were missing that from the first day event and a bonfire and fireworks and a picnic. So Dave and I discussed also the fact that we didn't have a signature event anywhere between January and Flag Day, because we have also been charged to run a year-long celebration. And we think 6 months is too long to go without a signature event. So what Dave and I kind of dreamed up, but I think this event in April can be a totally different event, or move one into that spot. But the thought was over Patriots Day weekend, which is April vacation for the kids, to do that weekend, to do maybe Friday night, some kind of a talent show, something that is all inclusive of families and fun. We spoke with Amanda and Anne Marie about maybe a karaoke night. Saturday, something geared towards children. So a children's matinee, children's acting classes, something that's very geared towards children. Sunday, an adult event, a theater production, a play, dress up, and come. And then on Monday, a festival, artisans, local artisans, a bazaar. So over that weekend, we would kind of touch all of those things. If we couldn't get support on that additional signature event, we did consider, if we couldn't vote on that, to move the bonfire to Patriots Day weekend, so that we had an event in there. We are proposing to move the parade from June 14th to the 4th of July. The reason for that is because we have had a parade coordinator step up. Corey Ahonen has agreed to run the parade for us. And it was his suggestion that we do that on the 4th of July based on the other parades that he runs in town, which is Memorial Day and Veterans Day. He suggested that we don't attached to those parades. Memorial Day is very solemn, it's a solemn event. And he felt like there's already a parade in October, that Food Pantry does a Halloween parade. And there's already a parade in December, there's a holiday festival, and then there's the Veterans Day parade. So he also said that he would be willing to run an additional signature event attached to the parade of a block party. So the suggestion when he and I met was a parade that starts at Center School, comes down Center Street, dumps into the center of town, that's all closed off into a block party. And he said he would be willing to run both of those events. We're not proposing to move the bonfire unless we have a blank for 6 months. We are proposing that the town picnic, which we did not vote on a date on, be the same day as the fireworks. And we are proposing the fireworks be on Flag Day, so a town picnic and fireworks on Flag Day. And then the block party goes with that. The gala's not moving. So why don't we have some discussion on that? Dale.
So just running through sequentially, I very much like the idea of moving into the first since we're not doing the fireworks. I was just looking at that falls on a Monday.
Yes.
It's basically a long weekend for folks. I like the idea of the arts event.
Can we go one by one? Is there any more discussion on that? Can we actually make a motion on that, or?
Are some of these related, in other words? I mean, some things like about the relationship with moving one and not
Right.
moving the other, so that's why I was just gonna run
This
those
one
down.
is not though. So does anybody have any opposition to Dale's motion to move?
I guess I moved for that, haven't I? As secretary, you could reflect it any way you want.
Does anybody want to second that motion?
So moved, first of all.
Okay. Anybody want to second that motion to move it from the 4th to the 1st? Okay, I'm just gonna put your initials here so I remember, because I'm also secretary tonight. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. All right, go ahead, Dale.
Okay, so I'm gonna bump down before talking about any
Sure.
new events, but the next I wanted to talk about was the parade. I love the idea of doing it on July 4th and then, with that block party, maybe with food trucks or whatever it might be. And I would suggest that maybe having the focus for the kids, where they've got streamers on the bikes and that kind of thing, getting the families involved. And unlike many of the other parades, we have something that's really focused on the kids, and that'll draw a lot of people. So I'm very much in favor of that. So
Are you making a motion?
I am making a motion, as a matter of fact, not to put words in my mouth, but yeah, so I would move that we have the parade on the 4th and that it would include a block party as well.
Do I have a second?
That 4th is a Saturday.
Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Go ahead, Dale.
Yes, all right. And as far as the bonfire, I love the idea of having that in the fall, because to me it just seems like the cool, crisp air kind of thing, and tying into different types of fall activities, football game, whatever it might be. Do we need to
We
make
do
any
not.
motion on that one?
We
Okay.
do not.
Okay, great. So no motion, because
Okay.
I have to reflect, no motion. on my
Also,
part.
the gala seems pretty set.
Right, so I don't think we need any other vote on that right
No.
now.
And this you just voted in.
Right. And then I like the idea of having an arts-based event in April, to kind of fill that gap, and also to kind of tie into a part of our community that we have not already sort of directly tied into. I would move that we add a arts event in the April of that year as well.
Second?
And I was thinking we could call it a variety show.
Yes.
Which encompasses all the different things that you were saying.
Right,
And
right.
it's a hodgepodge,
Mhm.
lovely event.
I think this is where we can really get our schools involved. There's
That'll be fun.
strong music in this town, and I think, Arts Week and music is arts, and we have a strong art community here too, so. So, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. What's left? It's moving the, town picnic and fireworks to perhaps Flag Day. We had not voted when to have the fireworks. We were really waiting on our chief on that. And we did discuss it with him, and he is for fireworks any time of the year. He said they can go up. He said he suggests we always focus on the nicest months of the year because it's just less chance of cancellation. The bonfire, we don't need to discuss, but that was a 6-month period of time. But this is open, so what we're proposing is that because we just moved the parade from Flag Day to the 4th of July, on Flag Day having a town picnic and fireworks. This is also before school gets out, so nobody's really gone yet. It tends to lead itself to families. Michael?
The 14th is the Saturday.
It is.
So
Yeah, that's a good
it
point.
lends itself well to the picnic as well as, I don't know what time you're having your picnic, if you're trying to cascade it into.
We are.
fireworks, so
I think it would be terrific to be able to have a picnic with a band concert and then shoot the fireworks off that evening. Maybe the fireworks company can put the numbers up 300. They've done that in some communities for people to be able to see. It brings the community together. I know Michelle and I are going to spend some time with the police chief to talk about security for all these major events that draw big crowds.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Can I get a point of discussion first before
Yes,
moving?
please.
So it would seem to me that since shortly after that, we'll be having the 4th of July with the block party, however we configure this town picnic, we'll want to do it in a way that's somewhat different from what the block party would look like.
Right. I think the original thought of the picnic really was blankets on grass
Mhm.
picnic. Yeah.
Did the fire chief, did he give you any suggested location? for
He
this?
did, so we had a Zoom meeting with him just prior to this meeting, and, he did give us a few suggestions, for both the bonfire and the fireworks. They're just suggestions at this point, because we have to find out who owns the property.
Sure.
But he is, his top recommendation is the Governor Ames area. So there's ponds and water there, for both, the bonfire and the fireworks. Don't need to have water, but, seem to kind of lead itself to that. We also need to have at least 800 feet between the people and where the fireworks are set off. And he was able to map that out on Zoom for us, where he would set those off at Governor Ames and where people would sit. And you need 200 feet from the bonfire. I guess as the bonfire starts to die down, they move that line a little closer and closer.
So that lends itself to, so I guess what I was asking about from the locations, if you're trying to do a little bit different from the 4th of July parade and block party, going more on the idea of like a picnic with a gazebo, the band and that kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah.
So it needs space that would allow you to do that.
Like a
So-
grandstand
Yeah.
kinda, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
I don't
he-
know who owns that estate or whatever, but yes, maybe don't let us do that.
Yes.
Did he, what other, I'm thinking like Eastern Country Club, so in my hometown, they use a country club. And the people sit at the school that's near the country club. And I know there's that church.
This is for fireworks.
Yes, in my
Okay.
hometown. And I know there's that church right near the country club.
So,
Yes.
at this
So,
point, I would say, let's not focus on location, let's focus on getting this done, and then once we get it voted in, we'll let we have a fireworks coordinator, we'll let him start the process of, one of the chief's major suggestions was that we hire a fireworks company. That he's really not gonna do anything with us until he's not gonna even do site visits until the fireworks come, because they're the ones that really dictate what they will do. So he said, you know, so we need, to start getting our subcommittee chairs to get out there and start getting quotes on where to hold this gala and, you know, all those things, so. Yes, he did send it to us, yes, yep,
Are you ready for a motion?
yes.
I'm on a roll now, so there's no stopping me now. I would like to move that we have the town picnic and leading into a band concert and then fireworks on Saturday, June 14th.
You want to second that motion?
I'll second.
And any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're all done. We have 8 signature events on 6 dates. Congratulations. Can you stop around it?
Another thing that,
I think we did well.
another thing I want to mention in our conversation with the fire chief, even though he's not on our board, a voting member, he extends his full cooperation. He's going to walk the sites with us. He's going to have his firefighters on board. And I was so impressed that he's with us, even though he doesn't sit at the table. So that's terrific.
So we're going to go back to Dave's co-chair report. I think you're on number 3, committee organization.
Yeah, I did want to mention that in terms of promoting, and I'm glad that Mike Good is here, it's kind of the start of marketing our celebration. Michelle and I did a TV show today on ECAT, and we did a half-hour show just promoting the celebration. We didn't go into details on any of the events. We just mentioned that we're going to be meeting and discussing them. But it's the start of a monthly TV show called Eastern 300. And we're going to be inviting members of the board, townspeople, coordinators of events. And we're going to promote it once a month. And we're going to do the show not at 3 o'clock, but at 5 o'clock, so that you folks don't have to leave work to participate with us. We won't bug you every month. We'll have different guests. I think it's a good way for us to pass the word around that we're looking forward to a giant 300th anniversary celebration in 2025. We're going to start with Mike Good, who's a marketing person and communication person. And we'll probably do 2 at a time. By the time we get finished, we'll have everybody in town on this little radio show. Our goal is to get 300 guests before we get to 2025, and I think it's doable. We are putting together some music we can play before and after the show. We have 2 breaks for public service announcements. We have an opening, we have a closing, and we're so happy to have ECAT on board with us, not just giving us a TV show where we can promote it, but they are covering our meetings so that we can share what we're discussing today with the residents of Easton, and they're going to cover all the events as well. One of the things that I would prefer to do is if we could skip on the agenda, because we missed you folks at the last meeting. I'm talking about the logo contest, and also you've got it in there. What are you talking about?
We need to do our elections.
Yes, okay. I guess we have to return a form to town hall, and they're only looking not for all the committee assignments, but they're looking for who's going to chair or co-chair this committee as we move forward. Everybody had to get sworn in. I don't know if you had a chance, Mike, you did.
Yep.
So we got more than a quorum tonight. And we understand that some folks weren't able to do it because of work and so forth, but we'll eventually get there. But there's been some discussion about, my personal feeling is to keep it as is with co-chairs to develop a sense of continuity and communication. Nobody is out putting out signs and promoting to be chair. We all got involved in it, and there's been a suggestion, why don't we consider having one chair and one vice chair? In some towns they do that. I know in the town I was involved in, we had co-chairs, so I was kind of used to it. I give you my personal feeling. I'm hoping that members of our committee can jump in and make suggestions if you so desire. I know I've been talking to Dale about the possibility of filling the slot of vice chair. Michelle has been talking about should she move to vice chair and I chair. And I personally feel that if something's not broken, why change it in terms of trying to continue on. In other towns, they don't change halfway through. They start with a group and they finish with a group unless someone leaves for some reason, and that's happened on our committee. I'm hoping that nobody else leaves our board. I hope that people will stay. Let's get to the finish line. Michelle, when I spoke to her, she said she doesn't really care what she does. And I basically feel the same way. I think it's up to the board to decide. I gave you my personal feeling. You folks might want to share your opinion. I can't speak for Michelle. I'm going to be with this committee till the finish line. Whether I'm co-chairing or chairing or just being a member and taking an active part. I've also agreed to co-chair the anniversary celebration because I've done 2 of them over my career, and I had a ball doing it and would continue to do it and have some experience in that area. Anything you want to say, Michelle? Or?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have no problem stepping down to vice chair if we really did want to put it out to the committee that perhaps is the committee inefficient with 2 chairs, and just wanted to open up that discussion that if we feel that it's going slowly and maybe we need 1 chair, I wouldn't pull back on the amount of work I do, but perhaps the meetings can be led by Dave, so it doesn't seem like it's the Dave and Michelle show, which it seems right now. So I'm going to be quiet and let y'all talk. Dale.
Yeah, so having spoken to a variety of folks about this, I want to make sure everybody understands any suggestion about Michelle moving from co-chair to vice chair was coming from nobody other than Michelle.
Correct.
In other words, and I actually am of the belief that it makes more sense to have 1 chair and a vice chair, and I would further add that, while I would be willing to step back into vice chair, notwithstanding that there was a coup d'etat and I was removed from power before, but separate and apart from that, Mr. Hand stepping in is no longer here to defend himself. In any event, if I was to serve as vice chair, it really would be entitled only because I don't have the time really to properly fulfill those responsibilities, and I want to focus on the community liaison part. So I'm very much in favor of sort of a separate division of responsibilities with the chair. I think we get the best of both worlds that way. And so that would be my recommendation.
Courtney.
I recommend to keep it the same.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So so I think the last meeting was a little bit of a stumbling around or fumbling around, but a lot of it was just, there's a lot to kind of talk about, and I know there was a lot of back and forth about how to talk about the events. I think some of that stuff's gonna kind of come to a head now that we actually have this online. You all are the ones that are doing that role, so it's more, I don't have an opinion as we are, so I'm not asking to step into this. So I do see the logistical, it makes sense to have 1 person really
so in that being said, I do wanna say that, what we're really asking isn't about me or Dave. It's more about like, what's best for this committee, or any committee. I talked to a few people about it, asked what they thought. I was told that there aren't any other committees in Easton that have co-chairs. And it made me think, well, why just this one? And, you know, we kind of went back to the day of nominations back in October and how it even came about that there would be co-chairs. So, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, like, it's not a vote against me or for Dave or anything like that. What do you think is best for the forward motion of this committee?
Although I'm not fully qualified yet to vote, I haven't been baptized, anointed, whatever the case may be. My own personal feelings and opinion really reflect what Dale had said. I'm not a big fan of co-chairs unless people have worked together for 30 years and each of the people, one person has strengths that the other person doesn't, and vice versa, and they compensate for each other's weaknesses and so forth. But as I have often said, I think a zebra is a horse that's made by a committee, so to speak, meaning that I personally favor, across the board, a chair and a vice chair, and then committee heads. Just it's kind of like a business where you have a CEO, a chief operating officer, and then you have department heads. It's the same kind of thing. That's my personal opinion.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
Is there any other discussion first before anybody else on the way in or explain like why they might think differently? I'd certainly be interested in hearing.
What would the logistical impact be as a vice chair in terms of the format of the meetings, or if you're away, if you're
It's a great question, and something we probably should have done early on is like an org chart. And I didn't write that up. And one of the things that's really missing on this org chart is duties and responsibilities. And that's something that, you know, was on my co-chair report. You know, we report to the select board. There's 10 members of this committee. We have to have a chair and a vice chair. We're required to fill out paperwork to that extent. The rest of the positions are committee positions, but we obviously need a secretary. It doesn't have to be a Tricentennial committee member, as we're seeing. We need a treasurer. We have one person is the select board representative. That's Mark Lamb. And then, you know, under that we had what committees does this group is responsible for setting a budget and having people go out and bring to us, how's this for fireworks, how's this? So the idea is that the work is out in a committee or a subcommittee. So in this committee, we formed a business committee. We don't have anybody who has stepped into that role yet. We have a community relations committee. And what are the bullet points that you're mentioning? What are the responsibilities and duties? And I kind of reached out to the chairs about a month ago asking, you know, how do you see your committee? You know, this we were seeing as like nonprofits, clubs, organizations, committees, houses of worship. We had an events committee chair. That person has left, so that role is open. We have a fundraising and sponsorship chair, and we added this because really our fundraising sponsorship chair, Courtney, has voiced that she would like to be really the sponsorship chair. She needs somebody to fill the role of fundraising chair. Two very distinct branches off of that. She's going to focus on sponsorship levels, businesses, things like that. We need somebody who's going to plan some events in 2024 to raise some funds for this, a walk or a t-shirt sale. So we're kind of looking for that. Mark Lamb has agreed to do logistics, so he'll do all permits and things like that. We have Mike doing marketing communications, and Andrew Parker, and I put these asterisks for if they were not on this committee, has offered to head up the volunteer volunteer committee, and then under that, we have our events. So we have a first day event, we don't have coordinators for that. I didn't know if we were gonna vote in an arts one. David Meyer has agreed to be our fireworks coordinator. I said I'd do the town picnic, Corey Horman said he'd do the parade. This is the block party, I'll ask, Corey offered to do it, but I'll ask him if he thinks it's too much. We need somebody to do the bonfire, and then Dave and I said we'd do the gala ball. So as I said, one of the things that you just brought up is, well, what are the duties of those committees? So I do have a work in progress that lists the duties, but also I think it's really important to know what committees work together, right? So you and Courtney are gonna have to work very closely together. When she takes a sponsorship, you're gonna have to have a banner made for that, whatever it is we're promising that business. But whose decision is that? Do you decide? Do you decide? So maybe a little delineation of this is important. I don't know. But that, I'm glad you brought it up. It's number one on my list.
I'm just more curious about that, yes, that all makes sense. That, some of that into reaction and defense are, and there's certain things there. But again, back to the original point, the chair versus vice chair,
Right.
two chairs. That's, I don't want to, there's a lot to cover tonight, so I'm just trying to see what would be any change in format or not really.
Dale?
Yeah, I don't want to sort of anticipate any real change. I see this more as just a change in title.
Okay.
And, you know, I think that the idea that, you know, Dave and Michelle are working very well together and continue to do so. And so facing any need to divvy up things differently as a result of having different titles, great, but I don't think that we need to sort of decide that here. That would be my sense. So I would make a motion that Dave his appointment continue as chair and that Michelle's appointment be as vice chair going forward.
Oh, that's right.
All right.
I don't wanna be the second.
Okay, that's okay.
So I was looking at it, trying to get him too.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? It's okay. All right, it is passed. And those are the only things that we have to vote on. So secretary, we can appoint, and treasurer, we can appoint, so.
This was our first disputed vote, wasn't it?
Yes.
You gotta stir the pot every now and
Leave it to
then. Let
Bucky.
me know they're paying attention out here.
So on the agenda, we are on Roman numeral number 4, B, Michelle. We're down to number 3, meetings. I'm not gonna go over that because we've already discussed Corey, Amanda, and Anne Marie are here. We discussed Chief Alexander. I'm gonna go back to number 2, and can we get a motion to approve the minutes from the 27th of June?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Do those minutes, I was looking them over, do they
Yep.
actually, do they actually reflect the votes that were taken there?
Yes, so in the blue,
Okay.
it says who made the motion, who seconded it,
Mhm.
and then how it was approved. All of these happen to be unanimous.
Okay, great. I think just to look at that again.
Yeah, of course, yeah, so let's keep passing on that.
While he's doing that,
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes,
Dave, you were involved in a similar production of Sharon. And I'm going now to the point of the committees and the responsibilities for each committee. They must have had committees, and they must have had responsibilities. Do you have anything that describes the various committees and the functions or activities of those committees? I mean, things like fundraising are pretty easy.
I have a bunch of them in my briefcase, which I didn't bring with me tonight.
No, but I'm just saying at some point it might be helpful to pull those things together and then edit them out but if it's already there, I don't think we should try to reinvent the wheel.
right, great point. So we can look at that for next meeting.
One of the things that I found out as co-chairs, that we're able to lean on each other and bounce things off each other before we go to the regular board meetings. And I found that both Michelle and I have been doing that, and it's good to be reassured that the decision that you make is a good one, even if we didn't agree with each other on some issues.
Yeah, but you can still
I'll
do that.
be happy to share
Yeah.
When I have,
Yeah, I think that would make sense just to
Another
bring it
time.
in, we could,
Yeah,
everyone could look at it, we can just edit them out.
cross out things that don't apply, yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, Dave, I don't understand why, I don't see why we couldn't continue to, I mean, I would think a chair and a vice chair should be talking to each other before the
well,
meeting
that's
and
the way it's
bouncing
gonna
off.
be.
And that's
the
what,
way
that's
you're
why, I
doing
don't
it.
think anybody thinks that it's any different than that. I think it should be.
It'll be the same thing, it'll be a very active,
Yep.
vice chair.
Unless they're meeting down, I am moving to approve the minutes.
Okay, second on that?
Continuing
I'll
on.
second.
Excellent. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, so let's move on. We're under 5 committee reports, but I would like to ask for a motion to move number 6, the subcommittee reports, D and E, to now. Because both Courtney and Michael waited all through the meeting last time on very important topics. Our sponsorship levels and our website and our logo contest. So can I get a motion to move 6, D, and E to now?
So moved.
All right. And in second, can we do that? All right, and all those in favor. All right, so we're gonna go straight to Courtney, fundraising sponsorship.
So I passed out my sheets at the last meeting.
Yes.
And it is not finalized because we keep changing our events, and part of the benefits depend on what events we have. So I would just say we're still in flux. Can I ask that just, do you have any, no, he's fine. I'll just say, just for whatever, review. We usually have those. So, and I don't think we had, for example, like the pole banner. We originally talked about that, but then we took it away, but now it looks like it's coming back. So it's definitely gonna be a work in progress. So far, I have not received any feedback from committee members.
Okay.
So that's good and bad. And only bad in case no one looked at it.
Okay.
But hopefully all is well, and we'll continue to tweak it.
Okay.
And hopefully now that we have things almost finalized, I guess we'll have to make a decision, like when do we wanna say this is it, and this is what people will receive, or leave something vague, like, for example, we use, in my professional position, we started using the word like all collateral materials to just be more vague, or collateral materials to date, because the other problem is the event, you pick up sponsors as you go, and so they might not be in one thing. So we're just gonna have to be careful about all of that, and so we can't, we're not in any sort of position to make motions.
Okay.
We're still under construction.
Okay. Yes. Dale.
Is there anything, Courtney, that you would like from feedback from us specifically that was just to moving the ball forward? Because I agree, it seems like we're still putting the hot dog together here, and so it's preliminary, it's a little early to make decisions about exact sponsorship levels and so on and so forth. But is there anything that we can provide to you to assist you in moving the ball forward, so at such point in time as things then feel ready to come back with some motions?
That was such a gentle question.
Thank you.
Yes, I think what we've done tonight is getting me there.
Yes. So I guess, and you don't have to answer this now, Courtney, but maybe for next time, is shall we look at this as 6 opportunities or 8 opportunities? How do people feel about that?
And those premier opportunities would be the $25,000 level,
Correct.
just to.
Right. How do you feel about getting 6 or 8 sponsors at that level?
I think that that 8 would be doable.
Okay.
6 is fine, but I also think 8 is doable, and then it would just be, we also talked about, if we're gonna have anything a la carte,
Right.
we had a few things at the bottom of the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So it would also be, dependent of if we added items to that,
Mhm.
special, cause that takes away some, that can take away some key people. It just, but I think that there's enough money in town that will be fine.
So if everybody did get a chance to look at it after she sent it out last time, you know, she had put forth a premier sponsor, 4 opportunities that went up to 6, and now it's 8. And then, you know, she has different levels down from that, 15, 10, 5, 25, and 1,000, and you're just kind of taking off the perks, so to speak, as you go down. And then, you know, patron sponsors, so in opportunities for families or individuals to also be involved in this, and then those other sponsorship opportunities. She also, if you notice on the first page, I don't know, Courtney, did you put in here the part about sponsoring the blanket?
I don't remember us.
Okay.
Finalizing that, because was the picnic questionable? I don't know, but I don't
Okay.
remember, unless that was actually an a la carte. Is that the a la carte? No, that was scholarship, shovels in the shops.
Okay, so I mean, I think the recommendation at this point would be, now that you have solid information from us, rework it, share it, and maybe we can vote on it at the next meeting. How does and I like your idea of to date or all, you know, all offerings or such. Because some of the things that are probably gonna come up are through our subcommittee coordinators. The parade coordinator may say $25 a car to enter your car. And perhaps one car is something that goes into a sponsorship. You can have a vehicle in the parade that, you know, has your business on it or whatever. So by not committing to every single thing, but saying, you know, you may get other perks, additional perks, you know. So how does everybody feel about that?
So
Mike?
that was pretty good. When I looked at it last meeting, you
Yeah.
had different tiers, and you had like,
Thanks, Taylor.
So you had different tiers.
For everything tonight.
You know, we were
Yeah,
talking about
MVP.
tying in like locations around town or.
Yes,
trust
the
companies.
names.
Yeah, so that was great. I think it is a little complicated to start establishing levels when you don't know how much you're trying to fundraise in the first place, right? So I don't know if we want to at some point, it's gonna take some time for the subcommittees to actually get the lay of the land, how much they're really gonna need to maybe, so like the Gale's probably gonna be the biggest ticket item, and maybe the fireworks, probably those two. So I don't know if we're able to kind of get some kind of estimates on what that would look like.
We know that the fireworks, well, we saw that they're 25,000
25.
in Stoughton. And then, Michelle had talked about padding that with, money, like saying, like, put 40,000 to the fireworks so that
Right.
we could have the entertainment and some other.
So for example, maybe the bonfire isn't going to cost $25,000, but that is the sponsorship level, and that sponsor owns that event. But, you know, some of these events may subsidize other events.
So I guess what I'm saying, these numbers here are actually grounded in reality as best you can. Right? So I guess where I'm going with it is, so then you also talk about fundraising, so selling t-shirts, or doing, is that just to cover overages, or just to kind of spruce up the keynote events to make it better than?
It's an excellent question. And based on the budget that Jeanette handed out at the last meeting, we are going, I think it was mid 300,000.
350.
Yeah, so with 8 signature events, we're at 200. So we did do a pretty good budget, didn't we, Jeanette? I don't think we thought that we had left anything off of it. Budget.
We had bonfire, picnic, fireworks, parade, anniversary gala, and then kind of a slush fund, other expenses.
Yeah, so I mean,
But we don't have what did we add? Oh, the arts festival
right?
And block party.
and the block party, right?
Okay. So.
One of the things that's, on the document that Courtney put together, which is very important for all of us, what do we give back to all the sponsors? What do we give back to people who donate to this cause? And she has outlined a lot of things that I think are super.
So I think that, I think we're gonna have to vote on a budget at some point, but I think we need a little bit more solid information on what that budget's going to be before we can make a proposal. This was just trying to figure out like what we thought things would cost.
Possibilities.
Yeah, so, I do think that we do need to raise funds. We also, you know, we can apply for grants, we can, ask the town, you know, if they can, you know, subsidize any of these events. Oh, it is on here, Courtney. If you look at Premier Sponsor, the very last one says, there's an additional $10,000 opportunity.
Good, a la carte, okay.
Yes, so we imagined that, a sponsor that wanted to do, I'm gonna flip back to, well, no, they're here. So, the sponsor that wanted to do, say, the bonfire, if they wanted to make an additional $10,000 donation, we would have that, at all of these, we were hoping to have free giveaways at all of these events. So for the bonfire, Courtney found cute Tricentennial mugs so that everyone can have free hot cocoa. And so that would be like a $10,000 opportunity. So let's say Bank of Easton says we want to sponsor the bonfire, $25,000. We want to have Bank of Easton on the mug with the thing. Perhaps Bank of Easton says, no, we don't want to do that. We can go to someone else and they can be the sponsor for the mug. So some of the ideas were like at the parade, we were hoping to give everybody a pom-pom to shake. It can be used again and again at sports events here in Easton. At the gala ball, we were thinking like a gold coin with the Tricentennial seal or something like that. But at each of these events, there'd be that opportunity. So that would be another fundraising type. Any more questions or ideas or?
When we're asking for money, we should really look into the camera, so people that might be watching, and leave a telephone number. But anyways, thank you so much, Courtney.
Anything else, Court?
No,
Or?
I think that's good for now.
All right, any questions for Courtney or? Okay, we're gonna move on to Michael.
All right, so the last meeting, all right, start with the easy part first. The website is up.
It is up, so I spent the morning with John Tracy, who's doing our IT. You can go on www.easton300.org. It's a work in progress, but you can see that the bones are up. And we will start filling that in with some great information. We did a couple test posts. We also, if you click on the About button at the top, it gives our charge, the photo that we used during the slideshow. So we're ready to go. So I would encourage anyone to write content, and we can easily put that up. So like write, and we're gonna keep the site active and.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you look at it, there's 3 blocks on it now. I think, like from the main page. I think the first thing is the next thing we're talking about is getting a logo. So we won't move into the logo concept. Talk about that in a second. But we should put some contact information on. Even though we don't have our sponsorship logos officially established, we should probably put some contact information for you, just so it's on the page.
Yep.
So we can work on that. And then one of the ideas we talked about behind the scenes was once we make the town, I don't know how we're gonna get the word out. The website, maybe through the town crier, email that goes out. Yeah, that kind of thing. Although I don't like to go on Facebook, but if we can get the word out through some of the groups, so to speak, get the word out, and then through these meetings, start establishing like a takeaway of what should go up for this week is the newest announcement. If we want to post our roster of upcoming events, feel comfortable doing that too soon. I tend to start getting going too fast, so I won't know. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if we want to announce that, that'd be news.
a button on the website for, signing up for, to be told like when the website gets updated or if we actually do a newsletter, and that's why y'all received a whole bunch of emails today.
So I guess we should probably get into this now. We brought a set copy. I don't need a copy, so I'll pass this on. So the concept we have for,
Thank you.
I think you emailed it all probably after.
Okay.
So the concept is, or we talked about it probably 4 meetings ago, was we need a logo, we need a logo for our banners, our website, all promotional materials. I'm sorry. So one of the things we talked about was, instead of us designing it or reaching them to a firm, having them design it, let's have some community participation, then that help, then let's get the schools involved. So in order to get this rolling, we need to kind of establish some parameters and rules of what the contest is actually going to look like and entail. So we kind of went online and looked around, and other towns have actually solicited logos for their actual town, not just their Tricentennial. So kind of mimicking that, looking at it from the standpoint of there's a mission statement, this is all subject to advice and changes, although I don't want to design a zebra, but we do want, I'm open to suggestions. But basically, the charge, so to speak, we want to have the public submit logo ideas or a logo that incorporates the town's name, the number 300, and the clock. That's what we kind of landed on several meetings ago, being a piece of the clock on Main Street.
They have to fix it.
Is it broke?
It's broke.
They can digitally
It'll be
fix it.
fixed next week.
Okay, good. So that is kind of the root of the contest. And then in terms of who's eligible, have to be a resident of the town of Easton. I put 12 because that kind of gets into the middle school, although I love the young kids to design. I don't want to create all the kind of suggestions. So that allows us to kind of use some of the talent we might have in the regional, the high school, the middle school, junior highs. I don't know, as you go through that, I started putting in some verbiage kind of like with the sponsorship levels, like it's our content once we have it, it's, we're going to use it in a multitude of ways, not limited to. So wherever we arrive on this contest with the rules, and we talk about that now, that would be like one of the first things that needs to get up on that website. And then we also have to look at other channels of communication to get the word out. I put October 31st, I know we want to get this going sooner than later, but I put that out there because if you're going to have school kids involved, they don't get back until, when they get back, 1st of September, whatever that is. I'm sure there's other things you're focusing on those first few days, and then having the teachers communicate that that's an option for them to participate. I think that in terms of judging it, once we hit the deadline, the next available meeting, the next meeting on our calendar from we as a group, I think the community should be the judges on that. I don't think we can go out to the community when you get like American or anything like that. Just keep it simple and just say this is the logo.
We don't want 50,000 entries.
No. I mean, realistically, we'll see what the participation is. I hope it is high, but I think it'll be manageable.
Would it make more sense to have it say it must present well in black and white and color, or is it your intention that you prefer them to be black and white?
I don't have a preference. I just sold.
Okay.
So when we talked about the website, the only feedback that we received is that it needs to be the JPEG, the format. I don't have any resolution or any of those things ironed out just yet. I was thinking maybe I could reach out to Science by tomorrow or something like that, just to get their feedback, and then that's an easy line item. What I was looking for you all, at the very least, to say is, we definitely want to do a contest, we definitely want to have it, school kids on up, get a time frame, what's reasonable, what's acceptable for a deadline. And like I said, the judging, it should be the next meeting. Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, unless,
Yes.
does the town then have to get involved and read all of the rules of it, or is it up to us to sort of run it?
I think it's up to us, but I can ask.
Okay.
Dale?
I think this looks great. I mean, I love all of the criteria that you identified here, and to Jeanette's point, it also does say must present well in black and white while the use of color is encouraged, so it sounds like we keep that option open for folks. So yeah, I'm fully in favor of what you laid out here. It makes a lot of sense.
So, what Mike just said was he's looking, we're looking to see if there's a motion to have a logo contest. So,
I'll make, steal your thunder.
Oh, come on.
I'll make a motion that we have a logo.
Okay.
I'm gonna second it.
All right, and any discussion about that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we are gonna have a contest for our logo. So the other thing that Mike mentioned is, do we want to dictate an age?
I like what he's identifying the criteria, so just blowing up kind of thing. I think, you know, we don't wanna have the kindergartners submitting everything, and I just think that's not our game on this one, so I like just blowing up.
Okay.
You could always, you know, from a marketing standpoint, of just creating a buzz, you could always go back to those kids and have like another contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, I love that
Display
idea.
it behind.
Exactly. Also, you know, maybe we have a contest for, you know, we're gonna need to write a lot of thank you cards.
Yeah.
Maybe we have a contest, we choose 5, under, and maybe they're under 12.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a
Right.
contest where it's all only under 12, and maybe we sell packs of gift cards, you know, we could use some as our committee, or we could sell them, as, you know, local young artist, renditions of Easton. So, I don't think we're gonna stick with the 12, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he also wanted some input from us on time frame of this. How do people like this time frame?
I again agree with the timing, because I think it takes a while if you can hit it in the first week of school, and, you know, and so forth, so.
And also like grown artists, they're gonna need time to create something, so yeah.
And I would think this in any event, you know, doesn't prevent us from getting the word out towards the end of the summer, in any event, right? So,
You know, one of the reasons that we discussed having a logo contest was to actually start some promotion
Yeah.
for this event, using this as a marketing strategy. What do you mean Tricentennial? Huh? So, I think that having a little bit longer of a time frame kind of takes that into account too.
Yeah, once we finalize the details, we can immediately post it on our website, and immediately start kind of getting the word out. The whole thing about waiting until meetings and time is just because then the school can help coordinate and get the word out to some of the students, put them on our website and all that. And then that allows them some time, plus for folks who are away for vacation and all that right now. So I think it gives us a beginning of the fall. I don't think it shortens our opportunities or impacts our ability if, you know, have the contest, select the logo, get it on a banner. I don't think that, we have plenty of time to do that. I think it also gives us the opportunity in early 2024, if we're gonna start selling t-shirts, keychains, and all the other knickknacks, we will have our logo ready to go, full year out, and so.
So, Ken,
I like all of what Mike has here in the comments. I'm gonna raise a problem. At the moment, as I said, the clock is broken. What that has led to is a question of who owns the clock. And the clock has also been used in other logos. I don't know if it's been copyrighted. So we're gonna need to find out a couple of things. One, and I'll be able to get the answer hopefully for this,
okay.
of who owns the clock, because I happen to be involved in getting it fixed and a couple other things. And then the second thing is I can also find out, there's one other group, I believe, that has used the clock as a logo, and I don't know if it was copyrighted. So we need to find that out, and I will do both of those things.
If those present as true roadblocks, or not, you it's copyrighted, I think we can just open it up to.
We could just
Yes,
cross
and,
it.
and we could also, if it is copyrighted, we could also get permission.
Sure. Okay.
So let me find out
Thank you
first
for
clearly
doing that,
what
Ken.
those 2 points are, the answers to the 2 points.
Good point.
Yeah.
And then we'll,
My understanding is that, Williams gave the clock to the town.
it was a joint, well, see, that's everybody's understanding, however, that's not correct. Because at the moment, pending a discovery somewhere, there is absolutely no paperwork indicating that the clock was donated to the town or that the town accepted the clock. And in fact, it was the Historical Society in a joint venture with Lee Williams that actually brought the clock into play. We had gone to the town first and asked them, and the town said no. And then the Historical Society joined in with Lee because there had been discussions before. But at the moment, and this was important because the clock being broken was necessary to get estimates. I just got the estimates to repair it and also to find out who owns it. So at this moment, I would say that the clock is currently owned either jointly by the Lee Williams Family Trust and the Easton Historical Society and Museum, or one or the other. I'm just not clear at this moment which it is. I'll have the answer within about a week. And the other thing I was saying was about the copyright. I do know there's another organization in
Yes.
town that has used the clock, but it may not be copyrighted. I don't know.
But I would think that that's just their image of the clock that would be copyrighted.
It is
not
possible,
necessarily
that's
another
possible too, but I
image,
you
yeah.
need to
It is
clarify.
actually the photographer that we had discussed earlier.
Oh.
There.
But either way, first of all, you're gonna need to get permission to use it. But secondly, even if it is copyrighted, because I happen to know the organization that has it, and if it is copyrighted, then just.
Yeah, I think it's another reason
We can get it
for-
done.
for the timing on this, that we have to square away those issues.
We need to get
before-
those, but we need those issues squared away, and luckily, because there's a corresponding issue with the repair of the clock, this has all come to the forefront.
So I guess at this point, we can make a decision to either, get the answers to these questions or eliminate the clock as part of the requirement. Does anybody have any feeling about that at this time?
My recommendation is we go forward with a motion with respect to this specific recommendation
Okay.
using the clock. If we need to revise it at a
Okay.
later point in time, we do so.
I agree.
Michael?
And the only reason I would agree with that is because if you just change that parameter, whatever you think it needs to be,
Yeah.
you know, and 500 people sending the clock, we're right back to square one.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I did want to mention, if I may, Michelle, I commend Mike Good for putting this document together. My experience in another town, we did a logo contest, but we did it with professionals, which made it go a lot quicker. They're doing it with school age 12 and over, so it's a little different. It's going to be slower because school doesn't come back until September. I would like to have the logo yesterday myself, so that we could share it and use it and do what we can. But again, it's up to the committee. Mike did some homework on this. I did have a call into him to chat with him about it. But, and that was one of my questions, was it for kids of all ages? Or was it just to the professional people out there? We wouldn't get as many people involved. And of course, the whole purpose of this is to involve the community, to get the word out by doing this. So whatever you decide, I just thought I'd share my experience with that. Things happen a lot quicker when you do it a different way.
So I have two
Your
questions.
motion, I guess, wasn't it?
Oh, I was just gonna have a
Okay.
point of discussion to respond.
Go ahead, respond, and then I'll ask my question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I see the advantage and disadvantage of the beach, but I come down on the side of, this is a great opportunity to get the word out to a lot of folks and get people actually involved in thinking about it. So, yes, between the two, I'm sort of in favor of doing this broader-based contest on it, because I think it's more important just to get the word out as opposed to not getting the word out, but having the logo to a smaller subset of people. So
I agree. I think that this is gonna be the first a lot of people are gonna even hear of this
Right.
celebration. So I think it's undoubtedly going to pique interest, because I think it's gonna be the first thing people have heard. The two things that I wanted to mention were, when do you want the contest to start? Should we make a motion on that? And also, what about entrance fee? We had discussed that earlier on in the committee, that perhaps there would be an entry fee, that might be partially a fundraiser, or it would be the prize. What were the thoughts on that?
I think if we're gonna go fall out, let's just skip the.
Okay.
I think that even if something adult wins it, right, if we're gonna be using the logo for multiple things, I think using school kids, it also lends itself to if we choose to have sports uniforms and things like this. There's a lot of, there's a good reason to tie it to the schools and the opportunity. I just think the entry fee, I think that might be a barrier to entry for some
Okay.
people. Just, you know, I don't know how we do a shot at winning while they water tank, I don't know, I see the downside of that. I would say no.
Okay,
I would suggest on the timing, we defer that decision until we've heard back from Ken
okay.
on the other issues and just keep it to the concept at this point as laid out in Mike's paper here.
When's our next meeting?
Our next meeting is the,
Obviously. Right.
no,
No,
it's
July
26th.
What's
I
the-
have it.
Yes, July, it's the last
Second.
July
Tuesday
25th.
before Tuesday, yeah.
July 25th.
So you think we could find those answers by then? So we'll know one way or the other, whether it's plot-based or full interpretation.
Okay,
And then we have that conversation at the next meeting, and then
maybe
you
make
say,
a motion.
make a
then.
motion, and then let's just say April when it starts, then we have, 3 months to get entries and.
Fabulous.
You made an interesting point. What is the winner going to get?
Right.
Yes.
I
They're
don't.
not gonna get anything?
I mean, I don't want to be a drain on the budget, but I don't know.
New crowd, new crowd.
Sure. Yeah,
I kind of like the idea of just a part of the contribution to the town kind of thing.
Well,
making a monetary-
yeah, or what about a surprise pack of merch? So, we don't know what that's gonna be yet, but once we do know what it's gonna be, a keychain and a mug and this, maybe we put together, it's their logo, maybe we put together a nice package, of, you know, the water bottle and the scarf or whatever it is that we do. And they kind of win their logo on
Yeah.
some stuff.
I do see the kid doing that, winning $100, $200, whatever, that being kind of enticement, so maybe we can think about that as we know next meeting.
Okay,
And then put them in a convertible in the parade.
Yep, there you go.
yeah, the logo. Okay, we good? All right, so we're gonna move on to secretary's report. That's me. I have nothing to report except we need a secretary. And now we will move on to Jeanette, treasurer's report.
Well, I don't really have anything to report because we have no money coming in. I will have to rework the budget a little bit.
Okay.
Just because we've added some things, and it's still sort of pie in the sky budget at this point, because we really don't know what things are gonna cost.
Okay.
Nice report.
Yes.
Advisory and events. I'm gonna go to Ken and Dave on that.
Well, Ken and I spoke briefly on the phone, trying to determine what does advisory really mean. In some communities, when they run celebrations like this, they call an advisory committee. And it's people who aren't on the board, they come to the meeting, they represent all the events. That was a title that I used in another community. Some communities use event coordinator. Basically the same thing. And then some people think that advisory means you're advising people on different issues that come up at these board meetings. I was thinking myself, that by having someone who represents the advisory committee, he or she represents the people that come to the meetings. Like we have 2 here this evening that are interested in being involved in the first night celebration. There may be times when our board meets that we want the parade committee to come in, or the coordinator. And that would be Ken's job to communicate with them and make sure that they're here to give us a report. There's going to be other events that take place. We need to be updated as a committee. That's what I saw it. I wondered if we should do advisory / event. I think Michelle was suggesting that event really involved other things that Ed was involved with when he was on the board. We could still get an event coordinator and let Ken remain doing his responsibility. We may want to meet sometime with all the event coordinators and just bring to their attention what's expected from our board. We're only 2 people, 10 people. We're as good as all the volunteers we surround ourselves with. And just take the parade alone, it's 35 to 40 people. We may not have the room for everybody to bring all their committees, but that's where Ken comes in. His leadership and his experience, he'll be able to handle that with no problem. That's my interpretation. There's no salary that goes with it, Ken, but,
I can't have a salary, can I have, can I have a Rolls Royce?
How do you feel about that, Ken?
Give that some thought.
Okay.
I'm thinking, when Dave and I spoke late this afternoon, so I told him what
Do you envision that to be an advisory committee or an advisory role?
I see it as a role. His committee is all the people that want to come here and find out what's going on, and they're representing us. When someone joins our group and is coordinating the parade committee, that person's going to come to us and tell us what's going to be in the parade, when it's going to start, what the route is, all those things that go with it. But our liaison is Ken. And we're going to have lots of groups, and we're going to have groups that aren't part of the signature events. There are all the other things that are going on in the community, and they want to be part of the schedule and the events that are going on.
Okay.
That's absolutely right, because I've got right here 2 of the booklets from the last 2 celebrations, the 250th and the 275th.
I'm looking forward to reading that.
And if you look at I've got extras here, but if you look at the calendar in either one of them, those calendars are pretty full. It's
Yes.
not just 8 or 6 events. I mean, I looked through and so I could see the equivalent of the signature events in some, for example, in the 250th, and just kind of looked and checked them off. But we're talking 50 easily.
Oh, easy.
Easy, 50 there.
And that's, I think, where it comes from, partnering with a lot of organizations in town.
That's
So I
right.
understand that.
That's exactly
both
right.
Easton and Sharon, that
Absolutely.
you just work with other existing organizations, existing events, and partner with them. And having looked through some of the listings of those, that was my sense, that these were a lot of things that sort of were there already, and then just sort of
Yes.
put forward as a
Co-branding.
250th, right?
So I do think that we need an event coordinator and in a calendar coordinator, so to speak. Unless, Ken, you see that as your role? Do you see as?
Well, I think regardless of role, what I think is that in terms of the calendar,
Yeah.
you're going to have to hear from the various entities, organizations.
Right, but we need
What do they
one
want?
person in charge.
I understand that. One person has to be the funnel, so to speak, for all the information to come in. But each of these organizations is going to want to do their own thing. And so just need to know when, what.
And do you picture
And
that
where.
under your advisory role?
I think it probably would fall under that.
Okay,
I think
great.
It probably would.
Awesome.
I already received a telephone call from Borland State Park. They have set a date for their Tricentennial antique car show. Their goal is to get 300 vehicles. They have already picked the date, October 4th, 2025. They are meeting with their group to plan and to prepare. And at some point in time, Dale Thistle, who's chairing that, will come to our meeting and give us a report on what their plan is.
Okay. Any further discussion on advisory events?
I mean, if you look at the 250th, there was a similar antique car
There
show.
was,
Historical Society put it on May 18th.
yeah. In this calendar,
Those cars still there.
this calendar
Mine
that I
is.
was referring to even has things on it like, 250th commemorative steins go on sale at the village florist, blah, blah, blah. So, we're really looking for an extensive calendar of big events, small events, but also here's where you get your ornament, and here's where you can buy it, and things like that.
Maybe that's Jamie Anderson.
Okay.
I see, I just saw who was gonna do that.
Okay. So moving on to the business committee, we still don't have a business committee chair, so we're still looking for one. If anybody knows of anybody, send them this way, and we will go to Dale for community relations report.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I'm still in the process of compiling lists of the different organizations, nonprofits and so forth, but I've commenced reaching out to various folks who help in this process of getting the community involved more generally. And, already, Al Provost has agreed to help, Ken Wood has agreed to help, Mark Finnecourt has agreed to help, and, Ken obviously with Easton Food Pantry and been formally running the rink for many years. Al Provost, who's tied to the American Legion and just generally very active in the town. He's also offered to help on the parade, by the way, so I'll ask him to follow up directly with Corey on that.
He loves parades.
Yeah, and he offered to go down to Bristol to get more information about their 4th of July, information, do a little research on that, so I'll have him touch base with Corey, with whom he worked on the Memorial Day parade in any event. Mark Finnecourt is not only an Easton Lion, but also on the Shelbytown Cultural Council.
Yeah, concerts tonight.
So, yeah, by the way, over at Osames Hall, Tommy Raines, right?
That's right.
At this point,
And he's have a high shalom, so.
oh, for
Back
Mark?
to Mark.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's a nice,
Yeah, and,
to represent the synagogue in town.
And right, and so my idea on this is not necessarily like having representative of everything in town, but I'm looking for some of the core group of people who are going to assist in the process of getting the work out. So I'm looking for people I know who will be committed, motivated, and help move the forward. And I'm open for suggestions. Ed Hands has already sort of agreed that he can continue to serve as a consultant, so I think he would help out as well. So if anybody has any suggestions, you don't have to do it now. Just reach out to me, let me know of other folks you think might be interested in helping. Tie into different types of community organizations, again, whether it's faith-based, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's at the schools or historical or otherwise. What I'm looking to do is get, anywhere from 5 to 7 people who are going to help move the oars along to move us forward.
Awesome.
And then you should definitely be on the list.
Be ready for another subcommittee assignment here, yes.
I know, but
This
it's,
is
I mean,
the
I just know all
cross-pollination
the,
here.
all
Yes,
the moms
Eastern Women of
and-
Today, that kind of thing.
yeah, I know all those ladies, yeah, I know.
That'd be perfect.
all those- all the
You're on the
ladies,
subcommittee.
yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Dale. Any questions, discussion? All right, next is logistics. Mark is absent tonight and did not have a report tonight. So moving on to volunteer, we don't have someone here tonight representative of that, so we will move to new business.
Ask a
So,
question about volunteers?
yes,
So from, I'm just looking at
Yes.
the website, thinking about things that we know about later. So from the volunteer tab, is that person who we wanna have posted there, we're seeking volunteers, interested in, how can we have that person's contact information?
yeah, so I guess that, one of the things that we're probably gonna have to do is come up with a volunteer form.
Yeah.
Where do you envision yourself, kind of like the back of the Lions application, what are you interested in, what can you do, what is your availability, you looking to, sell popsicles one time, or are you looking to come to every event and do something, or, so we'll have to probably create a volunteer form that will go on the website. What I envision the volunteer coordinator doing is, collating all of those, and then, making them into, we have 45 people to help with the parade and 35 people to help with. So that's gonna need a little work. Dale?
Yeah, one thing I omitted mentioning is I did also speak with Jen Cummings at NRT to
Okay.
get on their radar, so she's gonna talk to the board to let them know about when they're doing their fall festival thing for 2025 to tie into the 300, so she was very enthusiastic about that as well. And I would note more generally is I think we're finding that folks are really thrilled about this.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of people who are gonna help out. This is not gonna be one of those volunteer things where you have to really
Pull teeth, yeah.
pull teeth to
Yeah.
get folks to help. No, it is really interesting to see the enthusiasm for it.
It really is encouraging, yeah. Courtney, did you have something?
Oh, I was just I made a note that I was gonna say, we should also on that volunteer form, make a question like, are you part of any community organizations?
Yep.
Cause then we all automatically have a liaison.
Okay, perfect.
Then it's like, oh, well, we need a head of that group, there you go.
Yep. So we'll move on to new business. We're gonna, I'd like to start with, looking for a motion to approve the book billboard. So down, next to Honeydew Donuts on Belmont Street, right before you, get to Stonehill on the left, there's a billboard, and, the East Alliance Club rented that billboard 2 years ago for their holiday festival. So I reached out to Clear Channel, who we used through the Lions Club, and asked them for a price for beginning December 1st, 2024, and ending on December 31st, 2025. So it would be 13 months of the year. So the idea would be we would get 2 billboard changes. So we would have 3 billboards total. So the cost of that is $30,000. So we were looking to see if we could maybe get that approved so that we can start working with Clear Channel on that. My thoughts were December 2024, kind of a showcase of events that are coming up, at least in the first half of the year, if not like the calendar of major events for the whole year, would go on that. And then I think of all of our events, the fireworks are gonna be the ones that we're really kind of saying like, this is it, this is the event. And it does happen right in the middle of the year, and now it's partnered with a second event, so it is a big event. So maybe a couple months before the fireworks, we change it out to the fireworks. And then right after the fireworks, we change it one more time for the last 6 months of the year, and it can either be like a thank you or whatever the big events are for the remainder of the year.
Question.
Yeah.
How much of that cost is attributable to paying for the changes? In other words, if you just did 1 or 2, is there much of a variation in the cost?
I'm not sure, but I will find out.
Okay.
Yep.
And it seems to me that we shouldn't actually commit to anything until we're a little further along on the fundraising, right?
Okay.
But
Yeah, because we do have it listed that premier sponsors will be listed on the billboard.
Right, so the envision was 8 logos along the bottom of that billboard of the 8 signature event sponsors all year. So that would be all 3 changes.
my concern is not contractually committing ourselves, not necessarily that we're not committing ourselves internally, but that we don't contractually commit ourselves to Clear Channel unless and until we've got the fundraising taken care of at that point, because I just wouldn't want to, I don't think we can commit the town to something without having the funds raised for it yet, right?
Do we also have to hire somebody to design what the
No.
billboards?
No,
How does that get done?
we can do it ourselves, or they'll do it for us.
You know,
And
how
now
are we
that I'm,
gonna, how are we gonna do? I mean,
We
who's
have
actually
a
gonna do
graphic
it?
design.
oh yeah, I can do that, yeah.
Who's
I
the-
did the one for the Lions, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can do that on Canva or,
When do you need to know that?
yeah, that's the only thing is that time is of the essence. I
Do we
mean,
have to make a deposit?
I'm not sure, but we do need to sign a contract with them. And they are,
Is this the one we're stealing from God and the Angels?
it is the same billboard,
It's
right?
currently Hilliard's.
No,
Hilliard's
Hilliard's is
is-
the other one.
Yeah,
There's 2 on
Hilliard's
that
is on
corner.
Washington Street.
Yeah,
It's around the corner, Mike.
it's on,
Heading
it's actually on
out of
Belmont
Easton.
Street.
Yeah, right behind Honeydale.
There's 2.
On the other side,
Heading
yeah,
towards-
yeah,
I
yeah.
got you.
Yeah. I believe, I'm gonna look it up, but I don't think that the changes cost any extra now that I think of it.
I think it's good to change it, so it's just keep on like.
Yeah, it
It's just
becomes
mentioned.
invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Looking at it.
It is,
How much do we have in our account?
Like 54,000.
so it would be, November, December of 2024 and all of 2025. It's 15 periods of $18.50 a piece, plus they do charge $300 production cost, for one. And then, no, it is a $300 per change, for the 2 changes that we requested. So, the total price with the extra change, so, 2 changes, 3 billboards altogether would be $28,950.
So I presume that somebody from the town's gonna have to sign the contract, and we probably need to demonstrate to the town that there's been a vote to approve this, and that we already have sufficient funds to do so for the town.
The way it was explained to me is that we have the power to
Yes.
approve the invoice.
Yes, the
To
town
cover the expense.
would not
And
be
then
involved,
once it
right.
gets voted on, I submit the invoice to the town and we pay it.
Yeah,
But it sounds like that the cost of the changes is not a material part of the cost overall,
correct.
because that was the question.
Yes.
I asked, would that make a difference?
So I'm fully in favor, I think that's absolutely, there's a,
So I make a motion.
Okay.
second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye, opposed? All right, another pass tonight. Does anyone else have any other new business? And I'd also like to ask if, you know, if Amanda and Anne Marie want to speak too. Any other new business that
I
anyone
have
wants
something I
bring
wanna
up?
bring up, but I'd like to hear from our two
Okay.
guests first.
Did you want to speak?
I don't know.
We're very excited, we're looking forward to it.
And tell them about your, you know, your connection to Easton too. You know, we were speaking to you about
Yeah.
your husband's side.
Yeah.
But what about your personal journey and your journey? Like, where'd you
Sure.
grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in North Easton, so
Oh,
I'm
great.
from
Very
town. Went through Easton Public Schools and, you know, graduated from Olive Greens and did sport on the swim team and stuff, so I definitely have a connection to the town. A lot of my friends are moving back. I did leave town, but we are going to move back. We just haven't found the right place yet, but I have my eye on a few. So, we'll be back, but I'm looking forward to that, and I am very excited to do something with a subcommittee for maybe the first day events and help anywhere we can. Again, Amber and I have vast event knowledge. I went to school for event management, so been doing it for a few years, and I do have a full-time job, so I would for sure be able to put this in where I can.
What do you do for your?
I'm a project manager for trade shows and conventions. So yeah, so that's what I do for my day job, and then events on the side for fun. So.
Welcome.
Yeah. All those in favor?
I'm pretty
Oh, that's
easy.
great.
Just lock the door.
I'll do anything. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to overextend by committing to too many things at once, but I for sure think I could bring a lot of value to the table if you all would let me.
Yes,
Absolutely.
did you wanna, talk about like, you know, come back and let us know where you see your role? I also do wanna mention on camera that we do have an opening on this committee too, so, certainly if anybody is interested in joining, the application is on the Town of Easton website. It's listed as volunteer form, but it is the form, because we are volunteers, so, yeah, Anne Marie, did you wanna?
I think that Amanda and I discussed last night and emailed you that we would really love to chair the it's that's
First day celebration.
if that's not the right verbiage, the first day
Awesome.
or night. I think that's something we're extremely interested in. We have already started to put together a subcommittee on that since last night. Also, we know you are running the gala. The gala is exactly what we do and have done many times, so we would like to be on your committee
Absolutely.
to lend a hand with that
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
But
Well, Michelle and I met with both of them last night, and they had lots of excitement, lots of ideas, lots of creativity, and they were interested in doing something for the first day. They know each other, they work well together, and we thought that at some point they may come back and tell us what your ideas are for that first day.
For sure.
And
we
and
were
then
able
we
to
talked
get them
about a
all
bunch of
together.
ideas.
And can we learn a little about you, where you're from?
Yep, so I grew up in Hyde Park and I moved here when I was 22 and I married an Easton resident, Paul Tanner, and we have two beautiful children who went through Easton schools. I was extremely involved with the Easton schools and lots of committees that probably aren't in existence now. Anyway, so I have a son who is Michael Tanner, graduated from OA. He's a graphic designer and now was just for those who saw so he works for Be Good and actually he just they got bought out, so he got promoted to sales and marketing director. So I'm looking to them for some big.
And where does Michael live now? Is he in
So
Easton?
he lives in New Bedford with my
not too far.
Yep, with my two beautiful grandchildren, Madeline, who is just turned 4, and Parker, who is 6, and Jennifer, Jennifer is 36. She lives in Braintree. She actually works for Amazon, but was originally in the travel industry with Viking, and she's going back to them. But she had gotten laid off during the pandemic, and she also went to Oliver Ames, and she is my show choir. I was a show choir mom, so very involved with the music department as well. And I don't know, did I? And Amanda and I have worked together for like 13 years, and we know each other very. So
We accidentally met.
Yeah, we met.
Oh dear.
So yeah, so we got to the point in our careers that we were, as I was running the event to the Eastern Country Club, we knew where each other was at all times. We just, so we were very excited to work together again.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Any other new business we want to discuss?
I just had one thing, the town of Walpole, Massachusetts is celebrating their 300th anniversary. I thought it would be a good idea for Michelle and I to take a trip to Walpole tonight. And we're gonna meet with them and find out what their ideas are and what they plan on doing. To see if we can pick up some tips. And
Is that this year?
yes.
So that's a great
I'm
idea.
not sure of the dates, but you can always learn by finding out what other people do
Gloucester has been huge, now I
Yeah.
can say it right.
That's right.
with a bag of tricks.
You may want to look at the committee in Walpole, see if there's a name DiCalogero, DiCalogero.
Okay.
I will do that.
Stonehill, maybe a Stonehill.
Okay. So that about wraps up our meeting. Our action items for next meeting are, Dave's gonna bring the organizational charts from Sharon so that we can kind of put our duties into place. Ken's gonna fix the clock and then, and let us know.
And my wrench in the car.
Mike's gonna put the contest together and we're hopefully gonna vote on that. Courtney's gonna put the sponsorship levels together and we're hopefully gonna vote on that. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Yes, I'd just like to say that tonight I saw some progress. I saw us vote in picking out our signature events. We're off and running. The fundraising committee now has an idea what the events are and we can move forward. Mike has presented some things tonight on the logo contest. We got the TV show off and running. We got people calling up asking about it, so I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that we're starting to move. And once we get our extra person on board and we start getting some of the coordinators to join us, we'll be off and running. Thank you so much for being here tonight and helping us to accomplish what we need to do.
Excellent. So we do want to thank ECAT for being here tonight. We want to thank anybody who's tuned in tonight.
Excuse me.
Everyone who made it. I'd like to thank yes, Ken.
Just as a matter of information, I wanted to show you something that I came across, which is for the in 1975, the JCs had a flag that was actually sold.
That's spooky. I saw that at town hall, and I was like, we have a town flag?
That
There
is
you go.
so cool.
It didn't have my head on it.
You're
Put it
perfect.
on
Nice
camera.
addition, we like those.
You wanna see that on camera? Hold on until I get it on mine.
So Ken, that was created for the anniversary.
Yes.
250.
That was the logo that.
You got it now?
Town seal was.
There you go.
Oh, that was the town seal at the time?
Can we
Okay.
see that, that was a logo?
I'm gonna pass it
Yeah.
around.
Oh,
Next month for show and tell, I'll bring the t-shirt.
excellent. Very good. So I do want to thank John Tracy, who's part of this committee, who isn't here tonight.
I did not steal it from the town. No, I probably would have if
So there
so.
was 100 of them here.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
cool.
wow.
This was done by the
Limited
JC.
edition.
Hope Brian Hoffman's watching. All right, let's make a motion.
So that's-
Motion to adjourn?
Let me,
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
all in favor of the
Head to
meeting?
the concert, my friend.
Okay.
That's right.
Um,
That'll be fun.
Mike,